Mike Tyson has taken a swipe at Deontay Wilder after criticism of his Jake Paul comeback fight. Meanwhile, CEO Dana White exposes Jake Paul in an interview and makes absurd claims around the thought process of Jake Paul as he prepares to fight Mike Tyson.
That's why he has to get a guy like Tyson and
to try to get some credibility back.
When he fought somebody that was actually his age and was actually a boxer and was actually his size, he lost. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not trying to on the kid.
Yeah.
Dana White claims that Jake Paul is making a lot of money while fighting people that are older than him. However, Dana is quite skeptical if Jake's actually making the type of money he exclaims on social media. But a lot of drama comes in when people younger or older than Jake get beat up by the 27-year-old. When asked about the chance of Mike Tyson winning against Jake Paul on November 15th, Dana responded, "I think that Mike Tyson has a puncher's chance against anybody. Mike's 58 years old. You know what I mean. I hate doing this because Mike gets mad at me for every time that I do this. But Mike shouldn't be fighting." Moreover, Dana also accused Jake of the way he's fighting the boxers with age gaps when he said, "Fight guys that box for a living and fight guys that are your age, how about that?" The ridiculous amount of claims that come out of Jake Paul's mouth are enough to make Dana White laugh. When Dana heard that Jake Paul wants to fight Canelo, he said that Jake should fight Canelo if he thinks that is possible for him. Because for Canelo, who is a pro boxer and who has been doing boxing for a living, Jake would be a 30-second payday for him. Canelo fights real guys and keeps his credibility intact, but he does not want to waste time on Jake Paul, who is a YouTuber turned boxer. Dana further comments, Jake needs these guys. Jake needs Tyson and all these other people because everybody is going to tune in to hope that Mike Tyson knocks Jake out. They are not tuning in because they think Jake Paul's a good fighter and they want to see him compete." Dana also says that when Jake Paul fought a professional boxer Tommy Fury in 2023, he lost. So if Jake keeps fighting guys that are older than him, then obviously he will remain the champion. On the contrary, if he faces off with people who are the same age as him, then he is going to get beat up real bad. Dana also compares Jake to Butterbean, who is a retired boxer and fought for over 2 decades. He also made a name for himself by fighting lesser known and older guys, to which the critics proclaim that he is not a real boxer. Once Butterbean started fighting guys that were the same age as him, then he started losing, and the novelty of the champion started wearing off.
Got beat, and the novelty did wear off. That's why he has to get a guy like Tyson and
to try to get some credibility back.
When he fought somebody that was actually his age and was actually a boxer and was actually his size, he lost.
Similar to what Dana has to say, a surprising interview with one of Mike's sparring partner reveals the inability of Jake Paul to handle full force punches from Mike Tyson.
I never believed that Mike Tyson could pull his punches. I'd never seen him pull his punches. But with Roy Jones, the 4-time champion of the world, Mike hit him a body shot. And he sickened Roy Jones with that body shot. But Mike didn't go for the finish.
You could tell.
And he carried Roy Jones to the final bell. I was happy that he did it, especially for Roy Jones. So Jake Paul would have seen this. I'd never seen it before. I do believe that Mike will pull his punches.
Mike's sparring partner further explained why he thinks the fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson will be an exhibition fight and not a real boxing match. He says, "I never believed that Mike Tyson could pull his punches. He'd never seen him pull his punches. But with Roy Jones, the 4-time champion of the world, Mike hit him a body shot, and he seconded Roy Jones with the body shot. But Mike didn't go for the finish. You could tell. And he carried Roy Jones to the final bell. I was happy that he did it, especially for Roy Jones." Previously in 2020, when Mike was at the age of 54, he fought Roy Jones Jr., who was at 51 that time. Roy Jones is a retired American boxer who held titles for world championships in 4 weight classes. The match ended up being a draw, and it was speculated that Mike took Roy to the last round and on his feet. Since that match was more of an exhibition rather than a real fight, many people are claiming that Mike Tyson's fight with Jake Paul will be a real boxing match rather than a fight where they both pull their punches. Mike's sparring partner further comments about how the match will go about in November. "I'd never seen it before. I do believe that Mike will pull his punches with Jake because there is no way that Jake Paul could take a full force punch from Mike Tyson. They gotta promote the fight. They gotta sell the fight. You have to understand the fan base has got to watch the fight. But I still think it's going to be an occasion for Jake Paul to share the ring, like I said, with one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. And I don't think that is going to be a proper tear-up." Mike's sparring partner further elaborates that the fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson will be a sparring session for the entertainment of the fans. If Mike Tyson were to go full force on Jake Paul, then he will get hurt because he cannot handle the the explosive force of Mike's punches. The fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul was to occur originally on July 20th, but it got delayed because Mike was suffering ulcers in his stomach when he was flying on a plane. If we shift our focus to what Jake Paul has to say when the fight between Mike and Jake got delayed, Jake believes that both of them will be fighting eventually, even if it's at a later date. Although it was sad for him and the fans who had been looking forward to the fight to encounter the delay.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was definitely pretty devastated, but I first and foremost wanted to make sure that Mike was healthy. I love and respect Mike, and I was pretty devastated for everyone on the undercard as well. And just this was such an iconic event, but thankfully Mike's okay, doing great, and we can still run it at a later date, and that's what I'm focused on now, is just getting to November 15th and still giving people a historic fight.
Jake was putting on a lot of weight before the fight with Mike Tyson, but now that he has a few months before the Mike Tyson fight, he is focused on maintaining a normal cruiserweight. After laying off the pizza, Jake thinks that he is much skinnier, even if it's just 10 pounds and on a manageable, healthy weight level before the fight. Jake further boasts that he will continue to be better at the gym, train in a timely fashion, and be committed to being the world champion. His commitment to the goal of beating world-class champions is quite positive. Jake Paul was supposed to fight Mike Tyson on July 20th, but the fight got rescheduled to November after Tyson suffered a medical scare during a flight. Many in the boxing world were already critical of this fight due to Mike's old age, and wanted this fight to get canceled once the news about Tyson's health broke out. At first, the fight between the two was deemed as an exhibition, but later it turned into a pro fight. Not just that. Once the fight turned pro, Jake said that one of them would die in the ring, which worried the boxing world about Mike Tyson's well-being even more.
But yes, I'm going in there, and now it's a pro fight. It's on my record, and I'm going to put him down. And if people are pissed about it, then watch soccer.
Jake claimed that it was Mike who wanted this fight to be a pro fight. He said that it's a war now and he would do anything to get the victory. Jake also told people to go watch soccer or volleyball if they have problems watching this fight.
It's clear that Mike Tyson was the one who wanted it to be a pro fight. I said to Nikisa, if that's what Mike wants, then that's fine. But make sure you tell Mike that there's no holding back. Whatever happens, happens, and this is war now. If he puts me down, I can deal with that. But if I put him down, he needs to be the one making the decision on whether or not he can deal with that. I'm going in there, and now it's a pro fight. It's on my record, and I'm going to put him down. And if people are pissed about it, then watch soccer.
Deontay Wilder slammed the commission's decision to sanction the bout a few time ago. He stated, "He's Mike too old for this. We can talk about the pros and cons, but at the end of the day, they don't give a I don't think anyone cares about Mike, because if they did, they wouldn't sanction the fight. I don't want the last thing I remember of him is him getting knocked out by a YouTuber." However, Tyson did not like the remarks made by Wilder and addressed them in a recent interview with Esquire. He responded, "Then let Mike get hurt. You don't have to worry about paying my bills. Everyone says this makes no sense, but he's how old? He's not who I am. He can't go to Mongolia and have somebody know who the he is." Tyson doesn't even think Paul will be able to catch him, let alone hurt him. He said, "Can I be honest? I don't think he can hurt me. He's not going to hit me with the jab." Tyson also revealed that his wife was concerned for well-being when he chose to fight Jake Paul, but he consoled her and said that he has to do this. Tyson stated, "My wife keeps saying, 'You don't have to do this. You don't have to do this.' And I'm like, 'No, I do have to do this,' he tells me, stressing that the millions he's reportedly making from the fight will not change my life financially in any way." Tyson also outlined his plan to be fully ready for the fight, which will require him to take some drugs, not the performance enhancement type. He stated, "First, days before the bout, I will ingest a drug derived from the poison of the Sonoran Desert, toad known as 5-MeO-DMT, or simply the toad, for what I call a one-way trip to meet God. I have done the psychedelic close to 100 times now, but I don't know what I'll talk to God about this time. I only know it'll be deep." Tyson has been very open about his recreational drug use. In fact, he has his own brand that sells marijuana products called Tyson 2.0. Many people are wondering why, at the age of 58 and just a few years away from being considered a senior citizen, Tyson wanted to get into the ring again and pointed to money being the driving factor. However, despite Paul earning $30 million from his fight against Tommy Fury, highlighting the following he has, Tyson insists it is not money pulling him into the ring, it's the thrill of the night. He stated, "I'm a glory junkie. I love people thinking about me all day. I'd rather live a short life of glory than a long life of obscurity. It's just who I am. This is all I started fighting to get all this status. I'm going to be chasing it for the rest of my life. I know that. I'm never going to get what I want because I'm one of those gluttons for pain. I can never get enough. While talking about his training in the interview, Jake admits that he needs to manage the training sessions in a way that does not exhaust him before November 15th. The same is true for the fight between Jake Paul and Mike Perry on July 20th, when Mike Tyson was replaced by Perry due to Mike's medical conditions. Jake adds, "We are going to have to pace it and not go too hard too soon and take some days off. I'm still going to be going to Paris with the US Olympic team, so I'll be gone for 2 weeks doing that, so we'll pace it correctly and not overtrain." In the heat of the moment, many critics were accusing Jake Paul of fighting older guys and saying he shouldn't be fighting Mike because he has health problems now. Jake responded, "Tell Mike Tyson that because he does not give a what anyone thinks. He is his own boss. He wants to fight me. He told my team, like, I don't give a about this. Like, tell Jake I'm gonna rip his head off and knock him the out. And this just bought him more time. So tell Mike Tyson not to fight and to just chill and see how that goes. I think Mike wants it more than anyone, and if he wants it, then I'm down." UFC commentator Joe Rogan affirms the skill of Jake Paul and explains to fans why he is a legitimate boxer. Rogan says that people are slowly realizing that Jake Paul is a true fighter, and he gets less credit for boxing since he is a YouTuber, but the kid can fight. Jake has beaten former UFC champions, legitimate boxers, and athletes, which adds to the credibility of his boxing talent. Rogan comments on Jake's ability to fight and the risk he is taking with challenging Mike Tyson by saying, "The fact that he is willing to fight Mike Tyson, even if Tyson is 57, just the fact that he's willing to actually take a chance at Mike Tyson not being able to do what he used to do, because that's what he's doing. Like, there's not a chance in hell that Jake Paul would survive against Mike Tyson that beat Marvis Frazier, because that was Mike Tyson before he won the title." Joe Rogan commented on Mike Tyson's ability to beat pro boxers even at an older age, since the former American boxer Joe Frazier accused Mike Tyson of beating him if Joe Frazier was in his prime age. Allegedly, he made his son Marvis Frazier fight Mike Tyson to prove that his son is better than the famous legend Iron Mike. Nonetheless, the fight occurred in New York in 1986, and Mike Tyson made Frazier lose within the first round. This event later came to be known as Mike Tyson's fastest knockout in his professional career. At this time, Mike Tyson was in his prime, and he was unstoppable with the power of his punches and speed of his movement. When Joe Rogan was asked if Mike Tyson has lost some of his talent due to his age compared to when he was in his 20s, Rogan replied, "He hasn't lost everything. He hasn't lost everything. If you see him hit those pads, he hasn't lost everything. He's still not normal, but he's still like a professional heavyweight boxer. He's still terrifying." Joe Rogan further explains his views on whether Jake Paul should fight a 58-year-old and who is going to emerge victorious in the fight. He says, "You never bet against a 27-year-old fighting a 57-year-old. Mike Tyson's mind has switched over into war like he was doing this interview." And someone said to him, he goes like, "You look like you're in your 20s. And he goes, "I just eat raw meat." He goes, "I'm eating raw meat." He goes, "Because that's what I'm gonna eat when I fight. I'm gonna eat him. It's raw meat." Rogan compliments Mike Tyson's victories, as well as his determination to smash men in the past. Rogan further explains that Jake Paul should call the whole thing off, because if he sees a guy who is in his 50s eating raw meat, then that is a warning sign.
When a man has smashed men before, just smashed men, like when no one can stand in front of him, that is in his mind still. That's in there. There's a dark chamber in his mind that he can open up.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson has established himself as a conqueror, and his mindset is the same when he's coming out for Jake Paul. The real question is whether Mike's body can move the same way that his mind moves. When Joe Rogan had an interview in the past with Mike Tyson before he was ready to fight Roy Jones Jr., Mike was a different guy, but then he got the opportunity to fight Roy Jones, and the tables turned completely. Rogan said, "I changed the shape of this table because of him. We had a table that was bigger in size at the old and the new studio. I was like, maybe we make the table smaller. It'll be more intimate with the guests." Rogan further explained why he changed the size of the table at his studio. "It will be closer to the guest, so we had Mike Tyson in when he was 300 pounds, and he was just eating and having fun and smoking weed." He goes, "I don't even work out. If I work out, it will excite my ego, and then I don't like that person." So he just decided that he was going to be chill Mike Tyson, and then he got this offer to fight Roy Jones Jr. Rogan shockingly revealed why he was terrified of Mike Tyson and the way his mind works, because if Mike puts his heart into training, then he becomes a terrifying beast all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So he gets in insane shape. And the next time I see him, the second podcast we do, Mike now weighs 230 pounds, and he's got these muscles in his forearms. So he's sitting there, and he's a different human. He's so intense that I was like, if this table was closer to him, I would be nervous. Like, I wouldn't be able to do my best job as a podcaster. I literally, this the reason why this table is this width
Joe Rogan and his team are very excited to watch Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight, and Joe thinks that Jake made a brilliant move on challenging Mike Tyson. If he was going to fight anybody, only some people would watch, but now that he is fighting Mike Tyson, way more people will watch the fight. Joe also predicts that the fans will be divided in two major categories, the old gang and the young lot. The old people would want nothing more than to watch Mike Tyson beat the shit out of the YouTuber turned boxer Jake Paul. On the contrary, young people would want to see their star Jake Paul shine. Rogan predicts that there will be a huge change from when we last saw Mike against Roy Jones, since that fight was more of a don't knock me out fight. Joe says, I think the Roy Jones fight, they made an agreement not to punch in the head, I'm pretty sure, because I watched that fight carefully many times and it never looked like he was targeting Roy's head, which made sense why Roy agreed to do the fight. You know, I think they probably made an agreement. It would be like a real boxing match, but just don't knock me out. Mike Tyson's behavior is very unpredictable, which is evident from the press conference between Jake and Mike Tyson before their official match as he lashes out on a reporter.
How do you respond to people who are critical about this fight taking place in the first place at all because of your differences, particularly your age?
Well, I don't see too many people critical about it. Look at this. Ha 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 ha.
Critics, I mean.
Excuse me?
Critics, people in the
Who?
industry.
Tell me who. Name it somebody.
Folks.
You? Who?
No, folks who say it. Thanks.
Yeah, I know. Thanks.
During the press conference, another reporter commented on Mike Tyson's age, but then Mike started shouting at the reporter in a very unforgiving manner. What did you just call me again? What did you call me? Mainstream boxing champions like Muhammad Ali's grandson, Nico Ali Walsh, and Canelo are denying Jake Paul's boxing talent as they continue to refuse offers to fight Jake Paul. They feel like the circus-level boxing is not worth their time. Having got over the ulcer issue, which left him nauseous and dizzy, Tyson returned to training at the start of the month and has picked up where he left off. However, the criticism of Mike fighting at an old age was the talk of the talk, and many pros voiced their distaste for the showdown. Stephen S. Smith was never into this fight. Once the news broke out of the fight being a pro fight, Smith was devastated by it. He stated, I'm sad. I'm saddened by it. I'm disgusted by it. I don't like it one bit. I'm not taking anything away from the great Mike Tyson, who we all treasure because of the years of greatness he gave us. But he is 57. He questioned that there isn't a reason for this showdown to be a pro fight. I mean, come on, man. Listen, Tyson can hurt anybody, and I'm not dismissing that. But he hasn't been fighting, and Jake Paul hasn't fought any real ranked professional boxers. Why should this be a sanctioned boxing match? Smith also criticized Jake Paul for fighting a much older Mike Tyson. That too, in a pro fight now. He stated, I like Jake Paul, and I appreciate what he does for the sport of boxing in terms of bringing attention to the sport and showing you can do it promoting yourself as opposed to being at the mercy of promoters. The flip side to it, however, is that he keeps telling us how serious he's taking this and how bad he wants it. Well, okay, if you want the money, man, please keep doing your thing. But if it's not just about that, and if it's about you wanting to elevate your level, then you've got to get in the ring with somebody of your ilk, your age, your size, because he's fought dudes who are smaller than him, by the way, and stuff like that. You gotta do that. Gareth A. Davies was also very concerned upon hearing the news of this fight turning into a proper sanctioned boxing match. He said that he doesn't want to see a boxing legend like Mike Tyson lose to a YouTuber like Jake Paul.
I am very concerned about the news this week that this is a sanctioned boxing bout that will count on the record. I do not want to read on boxrec.com or on Wikipedia that Mike Tyson in 2024 lost to Jake Paul, an influencer and a YouTuber, in a veritable boxing match. It's just not right, and I think we should be concerned about his health, and I think we should be concerned how one of the greatest living icons of our sport, Spencer Oliver.
Former world champion Sergio Mora said that Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson is just not fair because of the age gap between the two. Mora stated, man, I've always been a critic of Jake Paul and, having him fight real fighters and boxers. But fighting a fighter that hasn't fought in over 20 years of Mike Tyson, he got beat, 20 years ago, and he got knocked out in the last two fights. fights. So at 57, 58 years old, that's come on. You're fighting a senior citizen, you know? And it's not fair. Mora highlighted the recent training videos that Tyson has been uploading and believes that these 10 seconds training clips are not practical when it comes to a real boxing match. He stated, he can look like a beast, Mike Tyson, for like the 10-second clips that he posts on social media. Anyone could do it. I could look like a killer right now on the pads for 10 seconds. But as soon as he turns that camera off, I'm gonna be huffing and puffing and sore. Sergio Mora also gave a bold prediction for the fight. He believes that Mike won't survive for long without a headgear. If there's no headgear, I think Mike gets beat up where they probably stopped the fight. The age gap between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul had been the biggest criticism of the mega fight. This age gap not only jeopardizes the well-being of Mike Tyson during the fight, but also the credibility of Jake Paul as a legit boxer too. Paul has previously expressed his thoughts about taking boxing seriously and winning a world title, but his fight against an old and washed-up Mike Tyson is the complete opposite. Oscar De La Hoya believed this, as he thinks Jake can't lead himself to the world title by fighting Mike Tyson.
I think Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, look, it's one of those fights where, again, the world's gonna watch. It's gonna create new eyeballs for boxing. It's gonna create a lot of news all over the world. But I stick to my message, and that is, if Jake Paul wants to take this sport serious, then he should be fighting young guys who are top 15, top 10, not heroes and legends like Mike Tyson, who are 60 years old.
Thank you, buddy.
That's it.
Oscar also mentioned the age gap between the two fighters and advised Paul to avoid these kinds of matches. He stated, I don't know how that's going to work. Mike Tyson is 60 years old. Jake Paul is 26, 27. If Jake Paul wants to take boxing seriously, take a different route. Take the route that all the other fighters take. Tough fights up the ranks. Top 10 fighters. Top 5. World champions. Not this route with Tyson. That's not the way to do it. When asked about if Tyson can still go toe-to-toe with Jake despite his age, Oscar stated, Tyson still has the punching power. That's the last thing that goes until you're in your grave. If Tyson catches him with a good one, it's lights out for Jake Paul. Imagine Tyson in a real fight. He still has that punching power. KSI was never a fan of this fight. He expressed his dismay from the day this fight got announced. He stated, I just feel Jake's legacy will be, he can knock out old people. I think it's super sad. I don't know why Jake took it. It's a lose-lose. There's going to be so many people watching. Millions and millions. Everyone is going to know him as a guy that knocked out an old Mike Tyson. Former British professional boxer Tony Jeffries was also disappointed in Mike Tyson for taking this fight. He believes that even a legend like Mike Tyson can be bought, which makes this situation very sad. He stated, it's so sad that Mike Tyson has got to do this fight. Someone on Instagram said that he's choosing to do it. But why is he choosing to do this? Well, he's doing it for one reason, and one reason only, and that is money. He's getting so much money to do this, so that tells me that he's getting bought. It's very sad that someone like Mike Tyson, a boxing legend, can get bought. He shouldn't be able to be bought like this. He's 57 years old. He should be enjoying retirement. UFC star Colby Covington simply hated the fight, as the age difference between the two fighters concerns him regarding Mike's well-being. Colby believed that this fight would tarnish Mike's legacy. He also accused Jake Paul and his brother Logan Paul for taking steroids.
I think, Mike still looks like a superhuman for 58, but he's still 58 years old, and he shouldn't be fighting anymore. I don't think it's safe. I think it's dangerous. At that age, your heart might explode. He gets hit in the head, he might have a brain bleed. I mean, the guy, that's what I hope for. I hope that Mike Tyson makes it through injury-free and doesn't get hurt. But I don't like the fight. Jake's in his mid-20s. He's doing every chemical known to man. He's literally a lab project. They're just juicing him up, him and his brother. Yeah. Everybody knows that. The machine's behind him, juicing him up, putting every chemical known to man. So I think it's going to end bad. I think, Jake's going to probably knock him out within the first 2 minutes. And if he doesn't, then it'll be because he's carrying him and he's trying to make the freak show look like it's a competitive fight. But I hate the fight. I think it takes away from Mike Tyson's legacy when a guy like this comes in and beats him.
Former world champion Carl Froch also showed distaste towards the upcoming mega fight. He stated, I stumbled across the news that Jake Paul is fighting the legend, the icon Mike Tyson. I just thought this cannot be happening. You can't be putting a guy in his mid-20s in against a guy that's approaching 60 years old. I was thinking, surely this is like a bit of an exhibition or a bit of a gimmick, or they're having some kind of a steady move around. But Jake Paul is actually officially taking on Iron Mike Tyson. He's an icon in the professional boxing world, and Jake Paul's not even a pro boxer. So So when I heard this fight was happening, I was absolutely disgusted, and I think it's so bad for boxing, right? The notorious Conor McGregor was not sure what to make of this fight, as it seemed a bit strange to him. During an interview for his upcoming film Roadhouse, Conor was asked that what he thinks about the fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. He replied, "Jesus, I don't know. It's a strange one for me. I wish well for Mike." McGregor also accused Jake Paul for setting a bad example for young boxers. He stated, "For me, it does set a bad precedent in the industry. What you've got now is, and I would say this to the young athletes coming up, men and women, don't aspire to be one of these YouTube fighters. Aspire for world titles. Aspire for the Olympics. That is how you etch your name in history. Doing these little smash and grab fights, you might get a few likes, but there's nothing substantial to it. It's hollow. It can be profitable, but it's hollow." I'm noticing a trend in young fighters coming up that are not even interested in competing in the amateur scene or rising up to win a national title. You need the gold on the waist. You need to etch your name on the belt. Curtis Blaydes disliked this fight so much that he wasn't even going to watch it if it happened on July 20th. In an interview, the host asked Blaydes his thoughts on the fight and asked whether he planned to watch it. He said that it's a joke fight and he won't be watching this fight.
I will not be watching. I think it's a joke fight. You could tell just by how they've been interacting with the face-off and the press conference. That's not the Mike Tyson who's coming to rip your head off. That ain't Iron Mike.
So, what are your thoughts about this fight? Do you think that Mike Tyson's response to the critics was valid? Do let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.